We lived in the comfort of the bubble, otherwise known as the Central District in Seattle, Washington, otherwise known as the CD. And that's where the majority of the black population resided, in the city. And for me, it was really great because I spent countless hours playing Army in the woods across the street, which covered in almost an entire block. And I reflected on that some years later. And the other thing that I really enjoyed about Seattle is my uncle was a master sergeant in the Air Force, and he would fly into McChord Air Force Base, to visit his sister and the rest of us. And so that was my real first exposure to the military, and of course, what I thought was the Army. The Vietnam War had just ended, and I knew that I was going to have to make a decision in terms of what I was going to do after you get your college degree. I made the decision after finishing at Western that I was going to join the Army, and that's exactly what I did. I went in as a E1 private, and of course it's interesting because even though I had been to college, and I guess perhaps is the first time I actually saw that not everyone is probably treated equally, there was no mention to me of OCS or even walk school, even though I had already been to college. But I didn't go that route, and I'm really glad in hindsight that I did not. I went in as an E1, went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training. I really loved it because it was organized, and I loved the structure and the regimentation. And so I was blessed enough to win the American Spirit and Honor Medal for the training cycle for my battalion. And they told me that, Private, if you're able to complete the advanced individual training, we're going to make you a PFC, and you can have any duty assignment that you would like in the country. I was all in by then because I really enjoyed the structure. But again, I had a real eye-opening experience because I decided I wanted to go into military police. And it was at Fort McClellan, Alabama. So I completed the AIT, became a PFC after completion, with some great mentorship and support from Drill Sergeant McMichael. I can see him like it was yesterday, even though it was a long time ago. And off to Fort Lewis, Washington I went, because that's the duty station I wanted. Back to Washington State, close to home, and I was a military policeman there for my entire tour while it was on active duty in the Army.
And then you made a transition into the Warrant Officer Corps. Talk to me a little bit about that, and how did that take place for you?
I joined the 315th MP detachment, and lo and behold, the entire leadership structure did not look like me. All white warrant officers, all W4s, all running the show, and all the people of color who were CID agents were all enlisted. And I said, okay, duly noted. What steps do I have to take to get into a leadership position and remain in the Army and remain in CID? And so that's when I decided, okay, Warrant Officer Candidate School, here I come. And I was able to do that with recommendations from the folks in my reserve debt at the time, and continue my civilian career as a trooper with WSP.
And so you were able to transition from enlisted to warrant officer, and did you keep the same career field?
I did keep the same career field. And WSP, I have to say, they supported my military activities throughout my entire career. I spent 22 years transitioning from W1, when I made W1 in 1984, to CW5 in 06. That was worth 20 plus professional activities, courses, and schools. And I think the key to being able to accomplish all of them and reach the rank of W5 is they were not CID specific. And many of them involved other avenues. Intel certainly isn't specifically a law enforcement endeavor, but that's a school that is very, very important, as well as logistics and some other areas that all give you a more well-rounded picture and preparation.
And what was that pinnacle assignment that prepped you to that highest rank? Do you recall?
I would say it would probably have to be becoming the first black deck commander and warrant officer that they had ever had. One of the biggest obstacles is the fact that I was in the reserve component, not strictly active duty. The reserve component is just looked upon differently regardless of your rank. So when you are called active duty and when you are deployed, you're looked upon under a different lens. And I know for a fact that even though I had made W5, I was still looked upon as, he's a W5, he's achieved that rank, he's accomplishing things. He's still a reservist. And I think most successful W5s in the reserve component are able to meld all the skills that they have learned through their civilian occupation. And particularly in my case, because it paralleled my military occupation, being in law enforcement and being in criminal justice. If you're able to successfully do that, when you arrive on scene, people understand that very clearly, that he's a reservist, yes. However, he has achieved some things in his civilian occupation that parallels his military occupation, and so, okay, he belongs here. One of the benefits of being in the military component was the privilege of being assigned to protective service detail over a period of time for General Colin Powell. Whether you're a regular line officer, but particularly the Warrant Officer Corps, if you were paying attention, even on those missions, and saw him in action, how he interacted with people, you knew right away that this is what leadership is supposed to look like, and this is someone to emulate across the spectrum. So I made a point of getting out in the field, and that's when my military and my WSP intersected. It is critically important that the Warrant Officer Corps continues to expand and improve. Again, when I joined my reserve debt, the warrant officers have been at it forever and a day. And that's all the more reason why. It's all about fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, people of color getting in the mix and getting in positions of responsibility, so you are making the decisions across the board and are able to influence, direct. I just think it's very, very important to be in the position where you have the ultimate decision.
On that same line of strategies, what do you think specific strategies do you believe African Americans need to utilize to navigate their career progression in the Warrant Officer Corps?
It's a regimented system. We all know that. There's certain boxes you have to check. But if you have the opportunity to take courses outside the traditional realm, as I did with CID, there were some very specific courses that were law enforcement related, criminal justice driven, understood, got it. But there were others to help give you a more well-rounded view, to broaden your viewpoint so it's not here, but it's here. Seriously consider the Warrant Officer Corps as a viable option, particularly if you're enlisted and you're trying to deliberate on exactly what course of action you're going to take going forward. And again, after you've finished a tour on active duty, don't automatically say to yourself, you know, it's a wrap, I'm done. The reserve component is very, very beneficial. It's very educational, and there is always the walk program if you're enlisted, so that you can continue your military career. The deployments have been extremely beneficial, extremely educational, and you're really still supporting, defending your country and helping people along the way.